Last month, a man brought in a Toyota RAV4 from 2019 with 88,000 miles. The crossover looked absolutely perfect. Garage kept, paint shining, interior as clean as the day he drove it off the showroom floor. But his transmission was completely shot. It was a mechanical failure that cost exactly $6,200 to replace. The worst part? It was entirely preventable. It was a single fluid service he had no idea he was supposed to perform because his dealership service writer told him the fluid was lifetime and never due for a change. I see this exact scenario play out all the time. And it isn't just transmissions. It's gummed up oil control rings, stretched timing chains, failed inverter water pumps, and planetary gear sets. Components that cost thousands of dollars to tear down and fix, but literally pennies to protect. So today, I am giving you the complete, unfiltered Toyota maintenance schedule, what is actually due, exactly when it's due, and the harsh engineering reality of what happens to your vehicle if you skip it. Follow this blueprint, and there is absolutely no reason your Toyota won't comfortably hit 300,000 or even 400,000 miles without a single major mechanical breakdown. Number 1. Every 5,000 miles or at every scheduled oil change. Let's start right from the very beginning. Milestone number 1 occurs every 5,000 miles or at every scheduled oil change. For modern Toyota engines like the ultra-common 2.5-liter four-cylinder found in the Camry and RAV4, or the older 3.5-liter V6 found in the Tacoma and Highlander, you are looking at full synthetic oil. Most modern models specify 0W16 or 0W20 weight. Now here's where you need to pay close attention, because this is the ultimate factory trap. If you open up your Toyota warranty and maintenance guide, you will see two distinct maintenance tracks: normal conditions and severe special operating conditions. The marketing material says you can confidently go 10,000 miles between oil changes under normal conditions, but when you flip to the back pages, the factory cuts that oil drain interval straight down to 5,000 miles for severe duty. Before you assume that severe duty only applies to commercial delivery vehicles or trucks towing heavy trailers up a mountain every single day, look at what Toyota actually qualifies as severe: towing a trailer or using a car-top carrier, driving on dirt, gravel, or dust-heavy roads, extensive idling or low-speed driving for long distances like heavy stop-and-go city traffic, and repeated short trips under 5 miles in freezing temperatures where the engine never reaches full operating heat. Roughly 80% of the everyday Toyota drivers who come into my shop qualify for the severe duty schedule without even realizing it. If any of those driving habits sound like your daily commute, 5,000 miles is your absolute maximum number. Honestly, the most experienced Toyota technicians and long-term high-mileage owners stick to a strict 5,000-mile interval regardless of what the manual says. The deep engineering reason this matters so much comes down to Toyota's modern piston design. To maximize fuel economy and hit modern emission standards, modern engines utilize extremely low-tension piston rings. When you push your oil out to 10,000 miles, the oil begins to break down and oxidize, creating microscopic carbon sludge. That sludge migrates right into those tiny, low-friction oil control rings, gumming them up completely and causing them to seize. Once those rings seize, your pristine engine transforms into an oil-burning machine, leading to catastrophic oil starvation down the road. I have personally torn down engines at 90,000 miles that were choked with sludge because the previous owners pushed 10,000 to 12,000 miles between dealership visits. Fixing an oil-starved, sludged-up block can easily run you over $5,000 for a used replacement engine. Just a few months ago, a customer brought in a 2018 Camry with only 55,000 miles. It was a beautiful one-owner car that was clearly washed every week, but he had been doing his oil changes at the dealership every 10,000 miles exactly as his service advisor told him to. The catch? His daily commute was a 4-mile stop-and-go drive to the train station every single morning, severe duty all day long. By the time he noticed the oil light flickering, the engine had already consumed 3 quarts of oil between services because the rings were seized solid. If he had simply changed that oil every 5,000 miles from day one, that internal assembly would be pristine and dead quiet today. Now, if you drive a modern hybrid, like a Prius or a RAV4 hybrid, the internal combustion engine is cycling on and off constantly, running a highly efficient Atkinson cycle. This frequent switching makes it even more vulnerable to moisture condensation in the oil crankcase during short winter trips. Treat those hybrids with the same 5,000-mile respect. If you own a newer turbocharged variant, like the 2.4-liter turbo in the newer Tacomas or the twin-turbo V6 in the Tundra, clean oil is the lifeblood of those spinning turbo bearings. Do not gamble their longevity on a 10,000-mile interval. While your vehicle is up on the rack for that oil change, this is also the exact time you should rotate your tires. Performing a rotation every 5,000 miles keeps the tread wear perfectly even across both axles, which extends the usable lifespan of your tires by thousands of miles. It takes less than 10 minutes if the wheels are already off the ground. At this same moment, do a quick, conscious visual inspection of your brake pads right through the wheel spokes. Take a quick look at your rubber suspension boots for any unexpected grease tears, and glance at your tire sidewalls for any hidden cracking or structural bulging. These quick 30-second habits catch minor issues before they leave you stranded on the highway. Number 2, 15,000 miles. Milestone number 2 arrives at 15,000 miles. If you own a four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive model, like a Tacoma, 4Runner, or an AWD RAV4, this specific interval is highly critical for your drivetrain. This is the mileage where you need to grease the drive shaft propeller joints and slip yokes on traditional body-on-frame trucks. Neglecting to lubricate these points can lead to severe drivetrain binding, premature U-joint failure, and a highly annoying clunking noise when accelerating from a complete stop. A replacement driveshaft assembly can easily run you up to $800, whereas a single tube of high-quality lithium-based grease costs less than $10. Do the simple math here. While you are servicing the undercarriage, it is also highly important to check the steering gearbox, suspension ball joints, and driveshaft boots for any signs of early grease leakage or physical degradation. For Toyota's hybrid vehicles, 15,000 miles is the sweet spot to inspect an often overlooked but incredibly vital component, the hybrid battery cooling fan air filter. This small mesh filter, typically located beneath or beside the rear passenger seats, prevents dust, pet hair, and debris from clogging the high-voltage battery cooling fan. If this filter gets completely choked out, the hybrid battery cannot shed heat properly, causing internal cell degradation and triggering severe thermal error codes. Cleaning or replacing this filter takes less than 5 minutes, but it completely protects a hybrid battery pack that costs upwards of $4,000 to replace at the dealership. For non-hybrid, purely gasoline-powered Toyotas, 15,000 miles is when you should execute a more thorough brake system inspection. Don't just peer through the wheels. Pull the brake calipers loose, measure the actual friction pad thickness, and inspect the brake rotors for any uneven grooving or heat spots. Original factory brake pads generally last anywhere from 40,000 to 60,000 miles, depending entirely on your personal driving environment. Catching them early means you can simply throw a fresh set of pads on the vehicle instead of paying for completely ruined rotors. This is also an excellent time to inspect your 12-volt battery terminals for any white acid corrosion and ensure the cable connections are completely tight. Modern Toyota electrical architectures are incredibly sensitive to voltage drops, and a corroded terminal can trigger a cascade of bizarre dashboard warning lights and unexplainable computer module gremlins. Number 3, 30,000 miles. Milestone number 3 hits at 30,000 miles. This is the exact mileage mark where dealership service writers love to get incredibly creative with their service upsells. I've personally seen service advisors quote unsuspecting vehicle owners over $700 for a 30K package consisting of basic fuel system cleaners and visual inspections that the factory manual doesn't require. Here's what is actually due at this milestone. Your engine air filter and your cabin HVAC air filter should be physically removed, inspected, and replaced if they are dirty. This is a dead simple 2-minute job with zero tools required, yet dealerships routinely charge $50 to $80 in labor for it. The filters themselves cost about $15 online. Don't pay a professional premium for a job you can easily do in your own driveway while wearing nice clothes. Next, the front and rear differential fluids, as well as the transfer case fluid on four-wheel drive models, must be inspected at 30,000 miles under the severe duty track. In mechanic terms, inspect means checking the actual fluid level and evaluating its color and clarity, not automatically replacing it. Unless you're regularly backing a boat ramp in the saltwater, dragging a heavy trailer, or doing serious technical off-roading, you can typically wait until the 60,000-mile mark for an actual gear oil replacement. This is also the specific mileage interval where you need to pay close attention to your front suspension components, specifically the lower ball joints, outer tie rod ends, and control arm stabilizer bushings. Toyotas are ruggedly engineered, but if you're running oversized off-road tires or navigating pothole-ridden city streets daily, these parts will wear out much quicker than expected. Look closely for any signs of uneven front tire wear, which serves as an early indicator of a misaligned front end. A routine alignment check at this stage is incredibly cheap insurance before you prematurely ruin a set of $900 tires.
Number 4. 50,000 to 60,000 miles. Milestone number 4 brings us to the 50,000 to 60,000 mile range. This is the massive high-stakes service milestone that dealership marketing teams actively try to hide from you: your transmission fluid. Whether your vehicle utilizes a traditional multi-speed automatic filled with Toyota genuine ATF-WS fluid or a planetary hybrid eCBT transaxle, the transmission dipstick is completely gone and the fill plug is explicitly stamped with a lifetime fill label. According to the dealership, this fluid never needs to be changed for the life of the vehicle. But here is the catch. Toyota defines the lifetime of a vehicle as the expiration of its factory powertrain warranty, which is typically 60,000 miles. They call it lifetime because it keeps their fleet's advertised cost of ownership metrics artificially low on paper for new car buyers. What actually happens in the real world is that transmission fluid undergoes severe thermal shearing and anti-wear additive depletion over time. Around 80,000 to 100,000 miles, the degraded fluid causes the internal valve body to wear, leading to hard shifts, torque converter shudder, and eventual mechanical failure. I have personally witnessed this exact mechanical tragedy play out more times than I can count. Guys who maintained their oil perfectly every 5,000 miles, but completely trusted the lifetime marketing hype on the transmission. One case that always stays with me was a 2017 Highlander. He did every single maintenance item right on time, kept the car beautifully clean, and never abused it. He never touched the transmission because his manual explicitly stated it was a sealed unit. Right around 95,000 miles, the transmission began slipping hard between second and third gear. By the time it made it to my shop bay, the internal clutches were burned up and the valve body was completely shot. The repair quote came back at a staggering $5,800. A preventative drain and fill service at an honest independent shop would have cost between $200 and $300. You can even perform this service yourself in your driveway for under $80 in fluid if you follow the proper overflow leveling procedure. It is the absolute cheapest insurance policy you can buy against a catastrophic repair bill that costs 15 times more. One incredibly critical warning note: if your Toyota has high mileage, say over 120,000 miles, and the transmission fluid has never been touched, do not allow a shop to perform a high-pressure machine flush. The intense pressure can dislodge suspended friction material and particulate debris from the clutch packs, sending it straight into the microscopic passages of the valve body and completely ruining the unit. A simple, low-pressure drain and fill is infinitely safer for high-mileage gearboxes. If you have a four-wheel drive vehicle, this 60,000-mile window is also the exact time to completely drain and exchange your differential and transfer case gear oils. Your factory brake pads will also likely be approaching the end of their service life within this mileage bracket. Do not ignore faint squealing or metallic grinding sounds. Catching them now prevents you from destroying the brake rotors, saving you from turning a basic pad replacement into a full-scale brake system overhaul. This is also the ideal time to completely flush your brake fluid system if it hasn't been serviced. Brake fluid is highly hygroscopic, meaning it actively absorbs moisture directly from the air over time. This moisture content lowers the fluid's boiling point and introduces internal corrosion into your expensive ABS actuator pump. Flushing the brake fluid every 3 to 4 years is a cheap, straightforward maintenance item that most car owners completely overlook.
Number 5.
75,000 miles. Milestone number 5 lands right at 75,000 miles. At this point, your Toyota has some real miles on the odometer, and certain mechanical wear items will naturally begin to show their age. Your factory shocks and struts do not have a hard mileage expiration date stamped on them, but 75,000 miles is typically when I see them begin to lose their dampening efficiency. Classic warning signs include an excessive bouncing sensation after rolling over highway bumps, noticeable front-end nosediving during hard braking maneuvers, or the rear end squatting excessively under cargo loads it used to handle with ease. If your factory suspension components are completely original and the vehicle is starting to feel floating or ungrounded at highway speeds, they're likely ready for retirement. This is also when your engine's cooling system needs a comprehensive structural evaluation. Toyota uses an incredibly high-quality pink super long-life coolant from the factory, which is rated for 10 years or 100,000 miles on the first interval. However, cooling system components themselves, like plastic radiator end tanks, thermostat housings, and water pump bearings, can develop slow weeping leaks long before that mileage mark. Make it a habit to check your coolant reservoir tank level at least once a month. If you notice the pink fluid level dropping continuously over time, but you cannot find a visible puddle on your garage floor, you may be dealing with a slow water pump bearing leak or a weeping heater core inside the cabin. A classic warning sign of a failing heater core is a distinctly sweet, syrupy smell traveling directly through your dashboard air vents. Do not ignore that scent. Catching a coolant leak early prevents an unexpected overheating event that can instantly warp your aluminum cylinder head. Number 6. 100,000 miles and beyond. Milestone number 6 arrives at the legendary 100,000-mile mark. If you drive a gasoline-powered Toyota or a standard hybrid, this is the exact interval where a fresh set of iridium spark plugs is officially due. Here's what surprises a lot of owners. While changing spark plugs in an inline 4-cylinder engine is a direct 30-minute job, changing them on a transverse V6 engine requires removing the entire upper intake manifold plenum just to access the rear cylinder bank. Dealerships routinely charge anywhere from $500 to $800 for this V6 service due to the labor involved. If you're a confident DIYer, a set of high-quality OEM Denso or NGK iridium plugs will cost you around $60 to $80 total for parts. You'll just need patience, a set of basic hand tools, and a magnetic swivel spark plug socket to tackle the job over a weekend afternoon. This is also the ideal mileage to replace your main engine's serpentine belt. Over 100,000 miles of heat cycling, the rubber belt will develop tiny micro cracks and structural stretching, which can lead to sudden snapping and an immediate loss of your alternator, water pump, and power steering assist. Along with the belt, spin the accessory idler and tensioner pulleys by hand to check for any rough or noisy bearings. On hybrid models, 100,000 miles is the factory-recommended interval to completely exchange your dedicated inverter transaxle coolant loop. This is completely separate from your engine's cooling system and utilizes its own dedicated electric pump to keep the high-voltage inverter modules cool. If this system runs low or degrades, the inverter can overheat and shut down the vehicle's entire hybrid propulsion system instantly. If you have meticulously kept up with all the maintenance milestones we have laid out up to this point, reaching 100,000 miles on a Toyota is genuinely just the break-in period. I have regular customers running well past 300,000 miles on their naturally aspirated engines and hybrid powertrains alike. The secret to their success isn't luck, it's simply that they chose to execute the services that physically matter to the mechanical components, and they completely ignored the marketing spin designed to lower perceived ownership costs.
Let's distill all of this down into a simple, rapid-fire version you can easily remember. Every 5,000 miles, change your engine oil and filter and rotate your tires without fail. Every 15,000 miles, grease your truck's drive shaft yokes and clean out your hybrid battery cooling fan filter. Every 30,000 miles, replace your engine and cabin air filters yourself and check your differential fluid levels. Every 50 to 60,000 miles, perform a transmission fluid drain and fill and completely exchange your differential and transfer case gear oils.
Every 75,000 miles, closely inspect your suspension shocks and perform a pressure test on your cooling system components. Every 100,000 miles, install a fresh set of OEM iridium spark plugs, replace your serpentine belt, and flush your hybrid inverter coolant loop. Vehicles that effortlessly reach 300,000 miles without a major mechanical teardown don't do so by accident. They reach that distance because they are cared for by owners who understand actual mechanical engineering timelines, instead of trusting glossy corporate marketing materials or dealership service packages. One final piece of advice: keep a dedicated physical or digital folder for every single one of your maintenance receipts. Document every single oil change, every filter purchase, and every fluid exchange. If you ever need to navigate a factory warranty claim, or if the day finally comes where you decide to sell the vehicle on the private market, that organized service documentation is worth tangible money to a buyer. It takes less than 2 minutes to snap a clear photo of your receipt and save it directly to a digital folder. If this video saved you some hard-earned money and helped you understand your car a bit better, hit that subscribe button. I break down real-world automotive maintenance strategies and common mechanical problems every single week. And if you want to see exactly how to perform a flawless transmission fluid drain and fill on a modern sealed Toyota gearbox, that specific step-by-step tutorial is coming up right next.